Hello everyone, and welcome to my channel, Katnip and Chill. My name is Katnip, and I hope you're all having a relaxing day. Thank you for joining me as I make a beautiful, easy, and cheap headpiece for a sun goddess rave costume. So the materials I have here, you need a headband, which mine automatically came with pom-poms, removed the first one already, some zip ties, and scissors. You'll need some other things too, we'll go through it in the video. But as I struggle to take this pom-pom off, we'll kind of go over the inspiration for this outfit. It started off while I was mindlessly scrolling through Etsy, and I found this shop called Sun Flames. They had these beautiful headdresses. They're just a little too expensive for a music festival type setting, because if you end up getting inebriated and losing it, or it gets damaged, it would really suck. So I went ahead looking for a cheaper alternative, and actually found like a little thing from Laya Kitten, so go follow her, she's amazing and super creative. But here we finally removed the cotton ball off of here and started cutting this away. Okay, we finally got this thing off. It took way too long. But we're gonna go ahead and save these little fluff balls for another project. Not sure what project that's going to be, but we'll figure it out. I definitely don't like wasting materials, so. Yeah, so now we have to make the headband essentially like head-shaped and not so super tiny, so that when we actually put the zip ties on, it looks more realistic to what it would look like on a head. We found a nice little secret as to what's going to happen later in the video, and was able to kind of put the headband around that, and it made it work. So now with the zip ties, we're going to start by putting it on the center. I'm going to speed this up a little bit because it does take a while. So here we're just marking the center with a gold Sharpie, just in case the zip ties slide around as we're working on the headpiece. Alright, I cut out the other half because of time's sake and because my camera died, so I didn't actually film it, so. But it already looks really cool. I'm very happy with how it looks, but it is really long. Okay, so what we're going to do is measure the spikes to shorter lengths, but try to make it look like a sunray. So we'll start at 8 inches at the center spike here, then go down to 7, then 6 with each subsequent spike. I'll speed this up for you so you can see what I'm talking about. And once we finished marking all the spikes, we're going to start cutting them. Try and cut them in a roundish shape. We don't want anything to look too spiky, as you'll get stopped at security. actually looks really good. I love how the sun rays look. Now we're going to want to take our project outside for spray painting. You're going to want to have it on a background that you don't care about getting spray paint on, and do some nice wide sweeping motions as we make it gold. You want to wait for it to dry and then turn it over on its backside and repeat the same process. Even the plastic looks like gold. This spray paint is so awesome. Putting on some finishing touches, and there she is. Glorious. So after drying, we went ahead and put some gold paper flowers in the locations that we want them to be in, and now we're going to essentially adhere them into place with resin, some quick drying UV resin. I actually recommend just using hot glue. I just happen to not have any. So there you have it. UV resin it is. I highly recommend wearing some respirator masks, as this stuff can really stink and the fumes are quite noxious. So make sure to wear the proper PPE when doing this, including gloves like I have here. Better if you double glove or get thicker gloves in general. Here you notice that it didn't really stick, it's just coming off, so I ended up having to quite literally cut off the excess resin and try again. Realizing that resin is not the best material here, even though I kept trying and trying. And then I'm out of hot glue. I needed to find some super glue somewhere in this messy craft room, and thank God I was successful after taking really long to cut off the resin and trying again and again and again. Finally, after what seems like an eternity, I found some Gorilla Glue, which is just really going to help get the job done. Once the flower petals have been secured into place, we're going to switch back over to the UV resin in order to adhere the pearl beads on. And there you have it. The headpiece itself is done. It's so pretty, it's so beautiful. She sparkles, she gleams. Now we move over to making the chain portion of the headdress. I've always loved the face jewels that people wear at raves. I just don't like things sticking to me. I don't like stickers, I don't like face paint, I don't like things sticking to my skin. So I decided to make some removable face jewelry. So now that we have the appropriate size that we want, we can take our jewelry pliers, untwist one of the links, and then reattach them. Okay, the next part of the agenda is the creation of the actual face jewels. So what we'll do is take these pearl-like beads and slide them on to these little wires with loops on the end. Use our smallest jewelry pliers and twist the end until we have a nice loop so that we can hook it onto the chain later. You don't want to actually complete the loop. We want a little space before completion. We'll complete it once we actually put it onto the chain. And this is about what it should look like at the end. It's a little hard to see, but I tried to make it easy for you. But I'm trying to go for a tiered pearl look, so you can see that the bottom one is bigger than the other two. Now, while we're speed beading, I would watch some of your favorite Netflix shows or YouTube channels in the background, because this can be quite tedious and take a while. Instead of showing you the entire process, we're just gonna multiply them. Okay, now that we've got our chain and we've got our beads, we're going to start by putting the first bead onto the center portion here of the head. And you're actually going to use your jewelry pliers here and clamp it closed. Here I'm testing if it's gonna bother me if it's too high up and kind of get in the way and I'll be cross-eyed, or if it's too low, if it's gonna dangle on my nose. So I'm just kind of experimenting with where exactly it's going to sit on the head. From here I'm counting about 10 links from the center and hooking each one about 10 links apart. Once I was finished with the beading process, I realized that the center bead was just too weird. It was going to bother me the whole festival, so I needed something totally different, more flat kind of in that area, and then maybe some more chains coming across it. So I was looking at what I had, and something like that could maybe work. I really liked the idea of red kind of contrasting the gold and white. Or maybe this little beige guy, I liked how it was just round and not really faceted. The problem is all of these things had a center portion for stringing, but the chain wasn't going to fit there. So I had to come up with a more clever solution. I really liked this guy here because it had this domed jewel in the center, and then on the back it had several little spots where you could actually attach the chain. And I figured that would just be perfect. I would just have to undo everything I had already done and reattach it. And we needed to get rid of the green. That's just not really going to fit with the sun goddess thing. So first things first, we need to get this jewel out of the facet. I tried using pliers first for some reason, hoping to gain purchase on it, but honestly they're just way too thick. So I came back with the least dangerous of all the knives, the butter knife. I try to push down on the edge there and lift up in almost a scooping-like motion. I'm really pushing really hard. You can kind of see the nick I made there, but keep trying, I suppose. And thank goodness I'm using a butter knife, or I would have stabbed myself just then. At this point, as I'm mindlessly scooping away, I desperately try to think of another way to do this that's less dangerous and more effective, but hey, it worked! Never mind! We'll definitely be saving this guy for another project, don't worry. And now for something I've never done before. Resin. We're going to try and make one that fits this little guy. I think that's the best one to do it. So let's see. Yeah, that one looks like it'll fit quite nicely. Okay, let's give this a shot. It's my very first time doing resin. I've always wanted to play with it, but never really had an opportunity to use it. So first we're gonna kind of move everything out of the way and show you what we have. When dealing with resin, always be sure to glove up. So in this box we have many different pearlescent colors. I'm looking at the gold there. This is a even shinier gold in my opinion, but it's very thick. It's like a thicker flake than this one. It's much thinner. And I'm going to continue looking at the different types of reds. There's some coppers, a whole bunch of different colors in here. That's way too pink. Purple, blue. It looks like we finally found like a kind of coppery color, but it's called burgundy, so we'll see what it looks like when it comes out. Well, I would like a red that's similar to this if we're gonna do red. Kind of a clear, but very royal red. Is that a color? Here we have our resin. We've also got our little plastic spoon that came with the kit. You can see I've experimented on it already. There's a little bit of gold. I wanted to make sure to get the color right. I did a lot of experiments off camera. It would have been way too long of a video if I showed you every single thing. So previously I poured into the cup first, mixed the color, and then poured it into the mold, but I found that I'd wasted a lot of resin just from getting stuck to the cup as you're pouring it out. So I tried pouring the resin directly into the mold and mixing the color after that. I really liked the mixture of, I believe it was the like burgundy and I don't remember, copper colors, but you really don't need a lot. It's a very, very, very tiny amount, and then you mix it all up together until you're satisfied with the color. After mixing it until you are completely satisfied, then you want to start using the UV light. This particular resin only cures after about 2 to 4 minutes. After the curing is finished, it's quite warm, so just be very careful with touching it. But good gosh, that red color is so pretty. I love those swirls. It's brilliant. Let's just pop it out, shall we? Yes. Let's see what it looks like on the domed edge. Very shiny, very domed. And it doesn't fit, it's too big. Such a waste. Well, we'll put it aside and use it for another project, but I don't know how to fix this. We'll have to try the smaller one. Yeah, so maybe the next size down will fit. I placed the facet up against the mold just to see. It kind of hard to see on the camera, but it does look like it'll work, so we'll give it a shot. Okay, so this time we're actually putting the colors in first before we put in the resin, and we're trying a different color combination, inserting the gold with the red instead of the bright red. We'll use kind of the burgundy red and the gold together to see what they look like. After we've taken all of our frustrations out on this mold by mixing it indefinitely, then blasting it with some UV, well, yeah, this one's just too small. There's way too much space. And to be honest, not a lot of people are going to be looking at this closely, but I'll know it's all messed up. So, third time's the charm. We're going to try something different. We're going to try pouring it directly onto the metal base here and see if we can sort of dome it before curing. And taking a look at the finished product, pretty, but flat, not really domed, and it did have a little bit of runoff onto like the top portion. Very kind of hard to see. I don't have the best camera, but you can see that it's flat for sure. After thinking long and hard about it, I realized that we can work with this. No one's gonna know it's not domed. No one's gonna look that closely at it, so ta-da! Now for the destruction and reconstruction of our chain headpiece. First, we're going to take off the beaded portion here, then replace it with our new centerpiece. As you can probably see, I changed out the centerpiece from a red to a gold. I used the same technique to essentially just straight pour it on there. It worked. It's a little bit more domed than the other one, and I like the color. And ta-da! Isn't she beautiful? As you can see, I didn't film putting together the second tier, but it's basically like putting together the first tier. Same amount of space is in between the beads. It's just lovely. Thank you for watching my video. I really appreciate it. I hope you all had a fun and relaxing time while we made the sun goddess headdress. See you all next time. Goodbye!